Today we're going to be working on this small buffet. I grabbed our crud cutter, a bucket of water, a cat, and a microfiber towel, and scrubbed this thing. As you can tell, I've had this piece for quite a while. It's got a lot of scratches and dents in it, and I'm going to go ahead and just fill those holes with wood putty. I want to give this a nice fresh look, kind of like an antique-y feel is what I'm going to be going for. So now we're done with the wood putty, letting it dry, then sanding it down. And one thing I did forget to do is take off the hardware. That should be done first. I'm gonna go ahead and prime this piece, and I am gonna give it 2 coats. We're going to use Ivory by Waverly. I do really like this paint. I feel like it gives really good coverage, and it's a nice color, just slightly off-white. Time for our stencil. I'll be securing the stencil with some frog tape. Also, all of the stencils that you're going to see in this video come from Amazon. I'm going to paint all the stencil part gold along with some trim. You don't want a lot of paint on your brush while you're painting so that you'll be able to have more control. Definitely had too much paint on my paintbrush here, so that's okay. I'm gonna fix this. It's no big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and take my brush and the ivory and just refine the lines and go over wherever I kind of messed up. I'm using a really thin brush. Everything is dry now, so we're gonna move on to our next step. So here are some more Amazon stencils that I have. These are pretty cheap. I got a whole bunch of them for real inexpensive. And you know, if you can, I would invest in something a bit more sturdy and thick, because that will help avoid the problems you're gonna see in the near future. Also, there's way too much paint on the brush, so you really want to keep an eye on that and make sure you're not overloading that brush. So this is what happens when you overload the brush. It bleeds through the stencil. I wiped off whatever I could, and then I sanded this down and put on a thin coat of paint. This also did not turn out how I wanted it to, and I could have fixed those lines or redone it, but I just did not like this stencil on there. This was actually my original idea, but I switched it up 3 times before I went to my original idea. Next time I'll just go with my intuition. I also used a sponge brush. This I did not overload. I made sure it was really a light amount of paint on there. I did not have almost any bleed through. I did go back in the end and do a little bit more detail work, but that was fine. This came out the way I wanted it to. Paint to clean up those lines. I used the stencil on the sides. We're gonna go ahead and use our shabby chic in order to create some gold trim. Dry, we're gonna sand it down. I'm actually gonna use a few different sandpaper grits here. I started off really fine, and it was too fine. It wasn't really doing much of what I wanted, so I went higher and higher in size of grit, and then I was able to create the aged effect that I was going for in specific with this. Now we've finished distressing the piece with sandpaper. We're gonna take this bristle brush, dip it in the clear wax, and once this is all dry, we're gonna throw some black wax on top for an aged effect. This was my absolute first time using clear wax, and I was so surprised by how smooth it went on. Once you coat everything in your clear wax, you're going to want to take your microfiber rag and wipe everything down. Best Dang wax. We're going to use black. I'm using the black wax as an accent to tie everything together and make it look aged. one drawer that does not have any black wax on it, right next to a drawer that does. I'm going to use this gilding wax to go over the hardware. This gold is really warm and rich, and although it's close to the other color gold from Shabby Chic, it adds like a nice little highlight effect, so I went ahead and did this all over the piece as well as apply it to the hardware. A brush to apply the gold gilding wax. Then I went ahead and I let it dry for a little bit. And when it was dry, I added a bit of Dixie Belle black wax in order to make sure that the hardware ties to the piece. And here it is all finished. appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and if you'd like, you can go ahead and subscribe and follow me. I would appreciate a like.